It's a Tuesday evening. Good evening and welcome to the SDG-Hub on the Big Bulletin. My name is Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe, and as usual I'm here with
Rosemary, Balami.
Well, so it's time for the SDG-Hub, and tonight we'll be discussing the topic Eco-Innovators Unplugged, Navigating Sustainable Entrepreneurship. And to discuss this, we have with us Maxwell Kojo Xanu, Deladem, also known as Deladem. He's a founder of Aboagye-Wiafe Solutions, and also Nana Kwame Gyasi, preferred to be called Nana K. Nana K is the CEO of Timeless Bioengineering Services. Business PM is proudly brought to you in partnership with the Center for Sustainable Transformation. This is the SDG-Hub. Here we discuss and enlighten each other on challenges and opportunities in everyday life and business to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs as we call them for short. Now on the SDG-Hub tonight, we introduce you to business cases and activities that in one way or the other are taking steps towards a more sustainable future in Ghana and beyond, so that we are all up to date and can take part in the necessary sustainable transformation we have to make for people and the planet to thrive, both in the present and the future. Once again, my name is Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe, and my co-host,
Rosemary, Balami.
Rosemary is from the Young Reporters for the Environment at the Center for Sustainable Transformation. The startup space in Ghana has become vibrant as there is more focus on the organization of events for entrepreneurs, greater networking among startups, and an increase in the number of startups, hubs, and incubators. Today on the SDG-Hub, we're diving deep into the world of eco-innovation and how entrepreneurs are steering their businesses towards a greener future. Sustainable entrepreneurship plays a crucial role in building a green economy. By integrating sustainability into business practices, entrepreneurs can create environmentally friendly products and services that meet the needs of consumers while also reducing their impact on the environment. This not only helps to protect our planet, but also stimulates social, local economic growth and also job creation at the same time.
Rightly said, Emmanuel. Talking about startups, Ghana's startup ecosystem is constantly evolving and receiving foreign direct investment, mentorship, training, and other types of support from various organizations such as the European Union and Ghana and what have you. According to Startup Universal, Ghana's startup scene saw an increase in 2023 and jumped 5 spots from the previous year, outranking Cape Verde. Indeed, sustainable entrepreneurship is a must in today's world, as businesses in developing countries also have to balance economic growth with environmental and social responsibility. By being socially and environmentally responsible, sustainable entrepreneurship provides a business model that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This aligns with a number of the SDGs, in particular SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, and SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. For example, SDG Target 12.6 states encourage companies, especially large and transnational companies, to adopt sustainable practices, whilst Target 8.4 sets out to improve global resource efficiency in production and endeavor to decouple economic growth from environmental degradation. Sometimes this is an incremental process, other times change comes from new initiatives, as we will hear about it today.
And indeed, sustainable entrepreneurship encourages innovation and creativity, leading to new ideas and solutions for addressing societal and environmental challenges. Well, joining us, some remarkable individuals who have not only recognized these opportunities, but have also transformed them into impactful ventures. We're going to hear their inspiring stories and learn how they are making a difference. We will join the studios, Maxwell Kojo Xanu, Deladem, founder of Aboagye-Wiafe Solutions, and Nana Kwame Gyasi, Nana K, CEO of Timeless Bioengineering Services. Gentlemen, good evening. Pleasure to have you tonight.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here.
Right. It's good to see you. All male affair tonight.
Yes. Last week
all
was
right.
all female.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, this week is all male.
Okay, all right. So let me start, like we do it always here. We want to know from our guests what your daily schedules are. What do you do from morning to evening by way of what you do? I mean, the work that you do.
Okay, so I would go first. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Deladem, like you said, So the good thing and interesting thing about this venture we are doing is it's not even a full-time thing. Mm-hmm. So it means that when young people avail themselves to be change agents rather than just talk about problems that are happening in the society, there would not be necessarily an impact or a change. So my regular day, I have other jobs that I do. I work as a football administrator. So
wow.
This actually stems from passion, So basically, if we have to produce briquettes or fabricate solar dryers, I speak with my team. They all do different things. We come together, set a day that will be convenient for everybody, and then we go to work.
That's great.
That's how it is.
Nana K, what about you?
Yeah. It's a privilege for me to be here. I think my story is a bit different from my brother. I am full-time into what I do. The reason being that I have the passion to help people. Yeah. After school, I realized that working for people is good, but if you set yourself up, it's also the best way to go. So I set myself up in the year 2009.
Okay.
And the story was very bad.
How bad was that?
Oh, the story was bad to the extent that I was ejected out of the house. My sister told me that a lot has been invested in you to go to university, come and work as an engineer. Now you say you are working, what do you call it? You are doing a baller work.
So your sister ejected you?
Yeah, but now they've all realized that I'm making big time money out of the baller.
Wow.
That's wonderful. So baller for money.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start the discussion now. Yeah. And I want to start with you, Deladem. And so when we say sustainable entrepreneurship, what exactly is it? And how different is it from the normal entrepreneurship that we know about?
I think there's not much difference. The only bit about it is considering the effect that our businesses or individual businesses have on the environment and how we can take away certain things that we do that destroy the environment. For instance, I think I went for a wedding this year, and one of my friends, he instead of having to print out physical invitation and program outlines, he decided to do a barcode. So, and everybody literally uses a smartphone. Yeah. So, how sustainable entrepreneurship is just basically how to, go about business. But while you're going about the business, you're also saving the environment. So it's like a socio-economic approach towards solving problems.
Yeah. And so is it the same as green entrepreneurship?
So green more is the focus. The focus then now comes down to the environment and climate more. Because then, I don't know, but I'm sure in this environment, in Asaase Radio, I don't know if you give water bottles or you have dispensers.
We have dispensers.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a green solution. So you are reducing the amount of plastic bottles you would have bought to give your workers. Imagine you have 100 workers, and every day they drink 100 bottles of water.
That's a lot of.
So sustainable entrepreneurship is just coming out with solutions that have the ability to solve a problem and also create economic impact in the lives of young people.
And so what inspired you to go into this kind of entrepreneurship business?
Number one, I would say passion. Passion, because I've always believed that young people, or myself as a young person, I have solutions that I can offer, to the country or from my perspective. And it doesn't always have to be a very big solution, It could be a very small solution. However, once it is solving a problem and it is giving young people the opportunity to show their innovativeness, then it is worthwhile. So for me, it was passion, 2, the interest in climate change, and then 3, I was privileged to meet someone online just because I was, tweeting a lot about climate, and then he happened to mentor me. So that was how passion met knowledge, and then grooming and mentorship. Right. So that is how the journey has been.
Maybe a divine kind of arrangement.
Connection,
divine connection.
So Deladem, moving forward, can you tell us more about what Ebapreneur Solutions is all about? And can you share specific examples of your business sustainable practices?
So, I'll start from the last question, the business sustainable practices. I'll say for me, the number one thing is education amongst myself and even my colleagues. How aware are they about the things they do and how it has an impact on the environment? So if we are going to have production and then even we don't have access to, dispenser, or we can't afford a dispenser, and we are going to buy sachet water or bottled water to go to the site to work with. After we are done, do we just throw it away? Do we just, leave it and say, oh, this is some bush, so we can just leave it? Or do we put it together and then look for a bin or look for people who collect plastic bags and put it in? Apart from that, I think that, every single thing that we do, there's that focus. So the whole thing starts from the mindset. Okay. When there's a conscientization of people, like you conscientize them to move away from actions or certain things. For instance, if I'm going to the shop, I'm going to ShopRite to buy stuff. Sometimes I carry my own bag, and when I get to I tell them, give me, I'll put the stuff in my bag, and they're like, oh, we can't do that. I'm like, I'm an environmentalist, I can't take the bag. So I feel like it has been a conscious effort, where you have that conscious effort rub off your team, and then every single thing they do, they are like, hey, we have to do it this way. We don't have to use a paper. We can use a smartphone instead of printing or write. Absolutely. So these are some of the things that I would say we are. Yeah. And how Ebapreneur started, it started, like I said, my mentor had someone from Nigeria come and train myself and my team. And then because, I have a computer science background. That's what I studied in university. Right. I attended University for Development Studies. Okay. And so I'd always, had that experience of, wildlife. And so there was that interest, how you could live in that environment and preserve nature and things like that. So when I had the opportunity to be able to create something like this, I took it with both hands. So after the training, myself and my teammates, we were trained on how to fabricate solar dryers and briquettes. So basically, the whole idea of Ebapreneur Solutions is to work with cassava farmers in an agro chain, a value chain solution, where we have these farmers who register a lot of post-harvest losses, and then we were able to create a solution which will help them to turn their cassava into another form, which is from the raw cassava to like powdered cassava or flakes or something. By doing that, you're able to elongate the shelf life of the cassava. So what are you doing? One, you're reducing the shelf life or the post-harvest losses, and you are now helping them to get more money in their pocket, because ordinarily the amount of cassava that will go to waste has now been turned into a different product that can stand a longer period of time. Okay. Now, the waste that is generated from the cassava peels, what do you do from it? Mind you, Ghana, in the top 5 African countries, Ghana is one of the countries that has the highest deforestation rates. What it means is we use a lot of charcoal to cook. Even in the urban cities, Accra and Kumasi constitute about 60% of charcoal users. So what it means is there's a constant demand for it. But are we just going to say, oh, stop cutting trees to make charcoal? We found we could make briquettes, clean cooking fuel with cassava peels, wood sawdust, and so the waste that's generated from the cassava peel, we now turn that into clean cooking fuel, which we call the briquette. So basically, Ebapreneur Solutions is all about fabricating solar dryers and then turning the waste from the cassava peels into clean cooking fuel.
Wow, that's really a great innovation right there. So what impact do you hope this will make in the broader green economy?
We first of all, we want people to be able to see everything as an opportunity to create something. So, like you said, my brother said that baller. There's nothing like baller these days. It's not baller. Like it's wealth. So at the end of the day, as young people, we should be creative, we should be innovative and think about solutions that can solve problems that we are facing. And in solving the problems, look at how we can use them as business ventures as well.
Very interesting. So let me come to you, Nana. what inspired you also to start a sustainability-focused business?
What inspired me to go into what I'm doing, that is construction of biogas digester, is that I realized that people throw waste just like that.
Just anyhow.
Yeah, anyhow. So I started to realize that the waste we generate in our various homes is divided into two. We have the liquid waste and we have the solid waste. When it comes to the solid waste, we also have the organic and inorganic. So I realized that the organic waste can be processed into renewable form of energy. Then also, I came to realize that most of the structures we have in Ghana use the traditional septic tank.
Okay.
And when the tank get to a threshold, they have to pull it out, and it comes with a cost. And when they are done with the pulling, even where to dispose it is another challenge. So I started to decide that if we have a biogas digester that will hold this waste, which we call waste, but in the innovative directive is a form of money, which is in the form of energy.
Okay.
So we built the biodigester, we tried it, and we realized that even human excrement contain almost about 60% of methane, which is energy. So we built the biodigesters for individual houses, commercial toilet operators, hotels, and they were getting one, energy out of it. Two, the most important aspect of which makes me so happy is that most people connect their sewage into drains.
Yeah.
And when you take a sample of this effluent to water research, you realize that there are traces of fecal matter that causes cholera. So we came up with a system called ABR, that is anaerobic buffer reactor. It reacts with the carbon dioxide, the hydrogen sulfide. So before the effluent comes out, it meets the EPA standard. So that when you dispose into the drain, and if the water comes in contact with your body, it will not have any negative reaction.
Okay, that's impressive.
Yes.
So can you share with us some examples of particular examples of your sustainable business?
Yeah, we have one at Cape Coast. We did one. Okay, let me use this one. Way back in 2017. I met one honorable called Kwashi from NDC. He was the regional secretary for NDC. And he told me that they have public toilets within their constituency where they pull the waste and dump it anyhow. So is there a solution? And I told him that, yeah, I have the solution. So we built the biogas digesters for them. The waste comes in, convert the waste into renewable form of energy, and when the old men and the women are coming, they use to heat waters for them for bathing. Yeah, and as we speak out today, the system keeps running. What made the system keep running is that the right equipment and material has to be used, and the system will be there for about 50 years without any problem.
Right. So what kind of sustainable practices have you included in your production process, especially linking up with SDG-12, which talks about responsible consumption and production target?
That's a very good question, because green business is a business that, helps for you not to negatively impact on the environment. So one thing I realized on site is that when the boys are working, we buy them this sachet water. So one time I got to site, I realized that they've found the sachet water and they just throw them anyhow. And I told them that this is not the best way to go, because already the sachet water is not biodegradable substance. Okay, so I got them a dustbin. They make sure they pack everything into the dustbin. Then from there, I was able to, do one or two research to come up with a friend who is also in need of those material that we call it waste to process it into sand that they use to make pavement blocks.
Okay, they use the pewter rabbits for pavement.
Yeah.
Wow.
The factories at Ashiawa. And plastic, they recycle the plastic also into sand to produce pavement blocks. Yeah.
Let me come to Deladem. Now, so would you call your business a fully sustainable one? And what are some of the challenges that came with starting a business aimed at sustainability?
I mean, there's always that challenge, especially come from a background where you're not an expert. I'm not a climate change person. I didn't study environmental science, but it just came from a place of passion. However, I think what I did to put myself in a good place is the fact that I've been constantly learning, reading about the environment, the science behind climate change, what causes it, what the greenhouse gases. So all of these things are breasting myself with knowledge and information. Then by doing that, I'm able to move on from just starting the business and just doing things like how people do it. However, the challenges are there. They are evident because our very first solar dryer we fabricated, the challenge was we didn't get the material we had to use for the covering. It's called polyethylene, but we need the UV treated ones. Okay. But we couldn't get some at the time we wanted it, and it was very, very, very expensive to order because they don't order in small portions. Yeah. So we were like, okay, if we are going to start this, we don't have to wait till we have everything working perfectly before we start. So we went out and got a makeshift polyethylene rubber that we used to do the covering. However, the purpose of the solar dryer was achieved because one, the first community we installed it in, it's called Aquatic Room in the Bream South Municipal area. So one of my team members happens to be friends with one guy who works in the municipal assembly, and he was like, most of the farmers, they complain about their cassava and maize going to waste after. So I was like, oh, if that's a good idea, then let's just use them as a case study. Okay. So we set up the solar dryer, and then after we had the community chief come around, and we showed them. We did a live demonstration. We took 2 samples of the cassava, one and did open air drying, another one we did solar drying. After about 6 hours, 30 minutes, the solar dryer had completely dried it out to the Ghana Standards Authority moisture level. Okay. And then the open air cassava was already brown. It was already brown, it had not even dried. So in making our business fully sustainable, we are trying to look at every component of our solution, and then how we can do away with the things that will not make it sustainable. For instance, we had a situation where we started fabricating solar dryers with wood, and then in the back of our minds we are like, if we're talking about reducing cutting trees and we are going to be fabricating solar dryers, wood is not the best option. Okay. So the very first sample we did, that was it. We didn't even try to do the wood level again. So, I mean, whilst we are evolving, it's a startup. Whilst we are evolving, we are always looking at ways where we can reduce practices that will not be deemed as sustainable.
Let me come to Nana. Now, Nana, I know that SDG 8.3 aims at promoting development-oriented policies that support entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation. Now, in your experience in Ghana, do we have an ecosystem that helps sustainable startups with good business ideas grow to become medium-sized enterprises?
To me, I would say no, because in our part,
why no?
Why no? Because in our part of the world, whatever you want to do. When I started, I went to various places to ask for, training or help, but there was nobody ready to help you. Okay. There was nobody ready to help.
Did you try the Ministry of Environment?
Oh my goodness! I sent a proposal to the Ministry of Environment. It's a fine proposal. That's what they told me. We'll call you. Nobody called me again.
That's unfortunate.
So you go through the process by yourself. And the amazing aspect is that when you go to house to house. We're doing mouth to mouth, advertising. We got to place that they tell you that this system doesn't exist in our part of the world. This is in the West. But as we speak today, from 2012 after now, I've never go out to market to anybody anymore. The one that I did, there's lots of referrals. Every day we have projects. Every day. Now that we have projects, the big men are not chasing us. Kojo Oponkom are chasing us for me to come.
So, well, moving forward now, Deladem, let me come back to you again. So, funding is one of the concerns when it comes to setting up a business, and that includes growing businesses as well. How are you able to apply for funds, or has a funding opportunity ever been successful for you? Can you share your experience?
Okay, before I answer this question, I would like to say something with regards to. I think there's that challenge. The ecosystem, I would say it exists. Okay, however, accessibility can be a challenge. Apart from accessibility, I think recently there have been, because when I started, I registered with, at the time it was National Board for Small Scale Industries. Could you believe that I registered and paid for my registration fee? Wow. It's a yearly registration. So when you start a business and you register with them, they give you some, as a startup, they give you some, waivers. So when you go to FDA and you want to register something, because you belong to MBSSI, they give you that. But the whole year ended, 2 years, I have not received my certificate.
Wow.
So the ecosystem is there, and I see that recently Ghana Enterprises Agency is coming up with some opportunities for us to be able to have access to training and stuff like this. Hopefully, when we apply, we can have access to some of these trainings.
Conversation is interesting. Well,
interesting. Time is up.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us and sharing your expertise and insights on this conversation. That's all the time we have for today's discussion on Eco-Innovation Unplugged, Navigating Sustainable Entrepreneurship. Make sure to tune in same time next week as we continue discussions on all things sustainable development right here on Asaase Radio 99.5 so that people and the planet can prosper. If you have a topic you would like us to discuss, shoot an email to SDG-Hub@cestins.org. Remember, dear listeners, the future is in our hands and it's our responsibility to ensure a healthier planet for generations to come. Keep raising your voices, keep advocating for change, and keep tuning into the SDG Hub for more insightful conversations. Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired.
And thank you so much once again for your time on the SDG Hub. We've been speaking with Maxwell Kojo Xanu Deladem, founder of Entrepreneur Solutions, and Nana Kwame Gyasi, Nana K, CEO of Timeless Bioengineering Services. I've been your host, Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe, and I did this with
Rosemary Balami.
We go back to Andy for the wrap of the Big Bulletin.